Hi, welcome to this webinar today. What we're going to talk about is one of the features that we have right now, that is OPC UA. And we're going to talk about how you can use with the OPC UA and how you can integrate this technology into your architecture. And what I'm going to talk about is that if you have ever heard of Industry 4.0 or Industrial Internet of Things, you will understand that what they are going to do is to minimize the effort for machines to talk to each other, because there are just too many brands and devices out there, and everyone trying to communicate with each other. Then there must be a single and unified protocol for everyone to talk with. Just like English may be the most used language internationally right now today, and in machines, that will be OPC UA, and this is our focus today. What we're going to cover in this webinar first will be what is it, what is OPC UA, and the second part is a short demo about OPC UA, and the final part is we're going to talk about how we embed OPC UA features and what are other features in cMT-G01. Okay, so imagine you are manager of the factory, and you have so many manufacturing lines that speak in different languages. So for example, in Japanese, and one in German, and one in Chinese. And you can take this as like different brands of controllers. So for example, from Mitsubishi, and in your robot line, you have Siemens, and for packaging, you have Rockwell. So every machine in this factory talks in different languages. So what you need to do, you need to collect the data from them and to give a summary to or report to your manager or to the enterprise. But the problem is that you don't know every language, because it's different. It's hard for people to find someone that can talk in over 3 or 4 different languages. For example, if you want a SCADA system to talk in different language, it will be very costly, and you will take some money to do it, and it's going to be hard for people to integrate them, because you have to translate one by one for each machine. So the situation here is that OPC will be want to solve this problem. So it was invented in 1996, and OPC technology was built on a Windows platform, because you can imagine at the time OPC is invented, there is very limited choices, because you can imagine at that time maybe Windows 97 or 98 are the only available user interface system, and you don't have many choices. And so that's the only thing they can use, so they use Windows. And how you can use it is that you have one OPC client talks in OPC protocol to an OPC server. And the OPC server will help you to translate different machine languages into OPC language. So the OPC server is the one that translate every machine protocol into OPC protocol. And the client or the graphic interface that you are using is the OPC client. And the problem for classic OPC is that it can only run on Windows platform. And you can imagine that right now you have so many different devices in different platforms. So you have Android devices, you have iOS, or you have Windows Phone, or you have Mac, you have different platforms that want to monitor to connect to the same system. So this is why OPC UA was invented. So you can see the name Unified Architecture. So what they are going to do is to help everyone that want to talk to the machine can use on their own platform. So you can run it on Android, and you can run it on iOS, and also you can run by different programming languages, for example, C and Java and .NET and different languages. Because you can imagine on Linux and Android, you don't have access to .NET system. Well, maybe 1 year ago you don't have access to it. So that's the problem that OPC UA wants to solve. And the second problem is OPC UA has improved their security system, because if you have ever used classic OPC, the problem they have is they don't have built-in security. They only use COM and DCOM, which is encrypted data. So if you want to transfer your data from your factory to your cloud service or to your remote site, then you need to take care about how you can transfer secretly your data into the internet. So OPC UA solved this by using a SSL and TLS encryption method, and they have, for example, on our platform, we support anonymous login, and we support using username and password, or we also support X.509 certificate. That is, you can use a very long certificate to log into a system, which is very safe compared to other two different authentication methods. And also you can control the access for different users. So for anonymous, maybe the anonymous user can only read from your OPC UA server. But if a logged in user that has an administrator, or that is that has right control of the machine, then he can write or send different control commands to the OPC UA server. So that is the power of the OPC UA security. And the third part is OPC UA has a very user-friendly tech access. So if you connect to one of the OPC UA servers, then you will be able to browse and see what's inside the OPC UA server. So you can see on the screen, if you want to know the pressure, the state, or the temperature of the compressor, you will know this is the pressure. You will know this is the state. You don't have to read over the manual to see maybe the pressure is on the MW1000 location, and find state on maybe MB and 100 different addresses. So it's easier for integrators to use OPC UA to get the information they want, and it's very user-friendly. So you can scroll the tree to see every detail that you have on the system. And one more thing is that OPC UA supports subscribe and notification mechanism. So this mechanism, first, the client will send a subscribe message to OPC UA server saying that the client wants to subscribe to events on the PLC device, or to the thermostat, or to some different valves. Then if something happens, then the OPC UA server will actively send a notification to the OPC UA client. So it will save network traffic. You don't have to spend a lot of network bandwidth to pulling from the OPC UA server. because you can just use subscribe, and something happens, it will notify you without asking every now and then. And OPC UA is not just about the factory itself. So maybe you have heard of that the ERP major player, SAP. They have already supported OPC UA in their system and MES systems, and so of course every SCADA system and PLC HMI has support for OPC already. But you can imagine in this industry, so if everyone can talk in OPC UA language, then everyone can talk to each other. So if one of your enterprise, your IT technician wants to know if the IP address or something that is correctly set up on your HMI or on your SCADA, you can just use OPC UA to connect to it and to get or configure the right information on it, or maybe you can configure a different work order or different records on different level of systems. And also OPC UA, they have a very big picture, is that you can also publish or send data using OPC UA to the cloud, because OPC UA has a very well designed security, as I just mentioned, and they have very good authentication, authorization, and design. So it's capable of sending data to the cloud. So they have this in this system too. Okay, and then I'm going to give you a short demo about OPC UA Gateway, and you can see on the screen is easier for users to understand that this is a timer and this is the original way to access the data. So this one is much easier for people to understand that what is this and what information should I expect inside this register. And what I have right here is I'm going to use one PC client to connect to the OPC UA server, and then retrieve information from the PLC driver. And also I can use an Android phone to access data on the OPC UA server here. Okay, so what I'm going to use is a software called UA Expert on Windows. It's a free and easy to use OPC UA software. And what I have here is I can see I have one Siemens S7 300 PLC and one cMT-G01 OPC UA Gateway on the right. So they are connected through the MPI connection. Okay, so this is the one I'm going to use in this demo. Okay, let me open up the UA Expert. So on the top left in the servers, I right-click on it and click Add to add an OPC UA server, and click on the server that I have on file, and okay. And I would like to use non-security, so you see that there are different encryption options on the list. Okay. And when I click OK, and right now I can right-click on it and click Connect. Then you can see on the left-hand side, the address space, you have all the tag information, just like in File Explorers. So they are all in folders, and I can expand to see different information on the cMT-G01. So if I want to read this, and this, and this, I can just select them and drag them to the center to start monitoring those data. So you can see the values are changing right now. Okay, so this is a very simple to use OPC UA client on Windows, and it is free. You can just go online, search for this software, and then I'm going to show you using an Android phone, and what I'm using is Metricon Visor, which is a free OPC UA client on Android. Click start. Okay, so just click connect to connect to an OPC UA server, and click on cMT-G01 here. Okay, click connect to connect to it. All right, and this is the monitor screen, and let me go back to the browse so I can see there are something here. So I click on the objects, which is the one that we have, just like on the Windows on the back of the this TeamViewer session. Okay, let me click on the Siemens 7300 MPI and text on it. Then right here I can choose to subscribe to different tags on the OPC server. Okay, when I'm done, I click on the monitor. Okay, you can see all of them are here. So when I click on one of them, so you can see that the data for the timer is changing, and the bit information for N0 is changing too. Okay, so this is the demo for OPC UA on Windows and also on Android system. Okay. All right. So let's go back to the slide, and this is Windows, and this one is Android. Okay. So if you have watched our another video which talks about MQTT, so right now you understand OPC UA, but you may be confused about which one to use when you want to retrieve data or trying to monitor different systems. So if you want to use OPC, if you have only one few connections, I would suggest you to use OPC UA. But if you have a relatively complicated system, so if you have many clients and many servers, then I would recommend you to use MQTT, because it is a topic-based and flexible communication. So you don't have to manage every connection by yourself. You can just use topic and then subscribe to different things that you are interested in. And if you have a firewall on your system, then maybe MQTT might be the better answer for you, because it's hard for machine builders to ask every end user to open the door, open a hole on their firewall. But MQTT, you can just set up an internet through MQTT server. Then every machine can publish data onto the MQTT server. Okay, so I would like to say, if you have only one server and you have many clients, and then I will recommend you to use OPC UA, because it's simpler for you to understand the configuration. If the server goes down, then every client can know what is going on and do something immediately. But if you use MQTT, it can be done, but you can only, well, if you publish from the server to the client, then it's easy. But if you want to send a control command back to this guy on the left, it will be relatively harder, because you have to set up two different topics. So one for this guy to publish and another for this guy to subscribe. a little bit complicated. But if you have many clients and many servers, then I would recommend you to use MQTT here, because you can set up just every client and server or every people in the system to publish or subscribe to the MQTT server. And it's easier to set up, and you can just use topic to filter data that you want. And so if you want to use OPC UA in the system, you can imagine that if you add one client in the system, then you need to configure every server one by one. And if you are in the factory, then you may need to modify and restart the server somehow. So it is relatively harder in this if you have multiple clients and multiple servers. So if you can imagine that if you add one more server and some of the client needs to connect to the server, and you will be a little bit complicated than if you use MQTT. Okay, so this is about how you can choose from one to another one. Okay, so let me just review about MQTT. So MQTT is very suitable for one-way connection, or for only telemetry or notification. But if you want to do inquiries or commands, then you have to set up multiple topics to do maybe publish and subscribe from another people. Okay. All right. So we have set up our software to support OPC UA and MQTT, and to help you to integrate to your customers' SCADA, MES, ERP, or any IoT application easily. So we help you to convert every protocol that we have already supported, which is over 300 different protocols. So if you have different type of PLC, then we should have support for it. So it should be relatively easy for you to use our device rather than write your own protocol converter. So we have cMT-G01, which supports OPC UA server and also client, and Modbus, TCP, RTU, client and server, and MQTT client and also server. Okay, so this is a very useful device if you want to integrate into Industry 4.0 or IoT systems. And also, it does more than this. So it supports using data transfer, which will help you to maybe transfer from one of your devices from the Ethernet and to a serial device, or from a Siemens to a Mitsubishi PLC. And we support email and macros for you to do some calculation and to automate your conversion, or maybe some alarms if you want, and a scheduler and event logs. Okay. And also we have Easy Access 2.0 supported on cMT-G01. So you get alarm notification on your mobile phone or mobile tablet if something happens to your machine. And also we support PLC pass-through cMT-G01, which is a feature that you can program a remote PLC inside of your office. So it's a very useful technology to use, because you don't have to go outside and to debug and find the correct cable to connect to your machine. All you have to do is connect cMT-G01 to the internet, and then log into the Easy Access 2.0, then you can start programming or monitor your control devices. Okay, so cMT-G01 is a screenless gateway. It has 3 serial ports supported and 2 Ethernet. So 1 for your office and 1 for your field devices. Okay, and you will use EasyBuilder Pro to program this device, this gateway. Okay, and the features that we have, I have just mentioned it. So you have email, notification, easy access, data transfer, and macros. And also, some customers that I have met, they have a very strong image that if your system wants to support OPC, then you need to have one industrial PC with Windows installed, and then you need to buy an OPC server from some OPC server vendor and install the server on it. Then you will have 2 different costs for this. So you need to buy an industrial PC, and then you need to buy OPC server from the market. And the problem is that most OPC server vendors, they charge by protocol. So if you have one protocol, which might be fine, but if you have many protocols or many brands in your system, so maybe you have one Mitsubishi, you have one Siemens, you have one Allen Bradley, then you need to buy 3 different protocols, and which can cost a lot. And if you use cMT-G01, then you don't need anything on the lab. You can just buy one device and convert everything for you, because we can support many protocols on our machines at the same time, and also convert all of them into OPC UA and MQTT, or even Modbus. Okay. All right, so you can use EasyBuilder Pro, and in the future we are going to support web configuration, so you can modify the OPC UA nodes or the tree structure using web browser without using EasyBuilder Pro, because some customers, they are not allowed to install any software on their computer. So supporting web configuration is a very nice feature for the cMT-G01. Okay. All right, so I'm going to show you how you can set up a cMT-G01 by using EasyBuilder Pro. So what you need to do is add a PLC device and configure the OPC server. Then you can download to the cMT-G01 that you're all set. Okay, so let me go back to the EasyBuilder Pro. So I could click on the new project and select cMT-G01 on the left. Click OK. Then window will pop up to ask you to add a PLC device into the device list of cMT-G01. So I can add a Modbus, or I can add a Siemens here. So I can search for 300 and get the Siemens 300 MPI here. Okay, click OK and click OK. Okay, all right. Then you're all set. You can just click on the OPC UA. You can see the Siemens PLC you have added, and click on the text. Click new text to add some different address. Okay, for example, 1000 for a timer. Okay, make it writable, and add an input 0, and which is the button, special button. Okay. Then that's it. Done with the OPC server setting, and click download. Okay. Click save. then you can download this project to a cMT-G01, and then you're all set. You can, after download it to the machine, then you can start using OPC UA to connect to it, just like I have using the Windows-based or the Android-based client to test it. Okay, so this is cMT-G01, and what we help you is that you can integrate OPC UA and MQTT very easily into your system without purchasing additional accessory or industrial PCs. And all our PLC drivers are synchronized with our standard HMI, so you don't have to worry about this, the driver support. So we support all our drivers on cMT-G01. So this device is a very unique and versatile product for you to integrate to IoT or to any smart factory that you want to build. Okay, so this is everything I want to cover today. So cMT-G01, OPC UA, and demo of it. Okay. So if you have any question or any problem setting up cMT-G01, then you can go to our website and go to service request to ask questions or to send us email using servicemail@weintek.com. Okay, or just you can ask any of our distributor local in your country. Okay, and if you have any questions, you can ask right now on the right of the panel, and then the seminar ends right now. So hope you have a great day and the rest of your week.